Hey, what's up guys, it's KMac 2021, looking like I'm about to start an apology video here. I realise it's been a while since I spoke to you guys in a video, and I know how much you guys just love it when I share new music with you. I see the comments, you guys absolutely love it. So I thought I'd make a video on what I think are my favourite top 10 albums from 2018. Obviously Jack is here with me, he's an avid music lover as well, aren't you son? Do you want to get in? Do you want in? Right. At number 10 is...
En glad titel på en sorglig skiva.
I couldn't pronounce that if I fucking wanted to. This is a non-stop instrumental heavy album released by Cal of Valuator and produced by Buster of Humanity's Last Breath. It is an honestly non-stop, big chords, big riffs, heavy ass album. That is exactly why I like it. It kind of reminds me of, like, you ever heard that study music? Like, none of your lo-fi hip-hop beats to study to shit. I'm talking about the, like, taiko albums. It's the same equivalent, it's like the metal equivalent of a taiko album, only instead of studying, you're destroying a house and eating all the bricks and people inside of it. At number 9 we have Loathe and Holding Absence, This Is As One. This is an EP, but I'm still counting it as one of my favourite albums, and if you've got a problem with that, then I'm sorry. It's 2 tracks from each band, the first 2 tracks being pretty heavy, and the second tracks being a lot more melodic and rocky. Don't really have a lot to say on this one other than the fact that I've listened to it repeatedly over the year and it's still heavy and is just as good as the first time I heard it. So that's all I've got to say on that. Up next we have Holy Hell by Architects. This is the follow-up to the last album. Obviously it's a big challenge for the band as their guitarist had passed away. We've really accomplished exactly what they were trying to achieve with this album. It's great to hear some parts of Tom still exist in the album. Sam has seriously improved his vocals in my eyes. They've always been great, but on this album they reach a whole new high. A whole new melodic high. If you haven't seen Holy Ghost, the short documentary the band made about making this album, I would definitely give that a watch before you listen to the album, if you haven't listened to it already. Up next is Joy is an Act of Resistance by Idols. This is a very angry English punk album. I say punk because every time someone calls it punk, people get really annoyed about it, so I'm giving it that. This album, listen, this album got a fucking 9 from Anthony Fantano. Do you think I'm messing around here? But in reality it is a very good album. It's very meaningful lyrics sang through a very gritted teeth mouth and big angry English accent, really catchy hooks and great choruses, and overall just a really solid album. Up next is
Vector by Haken.
I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to top Affinity, as that is one of my favourite albums, but they seriously did a good job on it. This is produced by Nolly Getgood and it just sounds amazing. It always seems like their albums are great at just painting a beautiful picture, and this album definitely does the same. There's a lot of storytelling songs on it, and overall I just love it because it's just complete proggy goodness. Up next is A Perfect Circle with Eat the Elephant. Now I wasn't really into this album when it first came out, but it took me a little while and now I'm really enjoying it. It was their first album in like 14 years, so the hype really built up and then it just wasn't really, it didn't really do much when it first came out, but now after listening to it and digesting it properly, I really enjoy it. I feel like a lot of the songs could really fit into Murder Noms and older albums. There is a few songs on here I don't like, but that doesn't discredit anything from the album. I still enjoy it. Also, where's the fucking... Up next is
Sonder by TesseracT.
I don't really have much to say on this album other than the fact that it's TesseracT and everything they do is fucking gold to me. So, complete genty goodness, great clean vocals as per usual. I love the interesting idea of adding in the sound effects and the field recordings. It really gives it a lot of good atmosphere in this album, and for that reason it's one of my favourites. Also it's TesseracT, I'm obviously a big fanboy, so everything they do is going to be amazing to me, except we can forget about the acoustic album. Up next is Being As an Ocean's album.
Waiting for Morning to Come, the deluxe edition. Remember the name of the albums that are supposed to be your favourite albums of this year, you fat bastard.
I was a fan of this band back in the day when they were doing their post-hardcore stuff, but slowly but surely kind of faded away from that sound and wasn't really interested in them. But not long ago I was on the bus and decided I would give their new album a listen, and I was really blown away by how experimental and how different the sound was from their older stuff. There was also these really interesting interludes between each song that were almost kind of like trip hop and kind of ambiently, like, it's hard to describe. If you've listened to stuff on my SoundCloud, you know I really like that stuff, so it was interesting to hear that in between each song and fit in so perfectly. The version I heard was the special edition which came out this year, so we'll just give that a little pass, you know what I mean? We'll just be like, okay Mac, that's cool, you've got it man, you've got it. Number 2 is The Blue Hour by Suede. Now, I was not expecting to like this album at all. My brother had sent me one of their songs and I really enjoyed it, but it was just kind of dead poppy, same thing all the way through. However, I listened to the album and I was completely blown away by the sound on the album. This big orchestral opening with the vocalists' really strange, eerie vocals that just seem to work. I would say if you're a fan of Porcupine Tree's kind of older stuff, their poppier stuff, then you'll really enjoy this. The guitar work's very similar. I just really fucking love this album, and it's definitely becoming one of my favourites. And number 1 is How Fleeting, How Fragile by Time the Valuator. This is a band that I heard a single a long time ago on Spotify and decided to kind of keep an eye on them. They'd released a few singles and eventually their album came out, and for a band's first album, this is the most mature sounding album I've heard all this year. It seems like this band is seriously are completely in key with what they want their sound to be. It's just a heavy, genty, melodic, beautiful ambient album all the way through. It's a rather derivative genre, gent if you want to call it that. But I felt the clean vocals on this were just incredible and completely unique. Unfortunately though, the vocalist has left the band, which is kind of upsetting, but given the circumstances of why he's left, I can understand, and I just hope that whatever he's going through he can sort. This band, they're pretty much just like Periphery, except with much better hooks and much better chord progressions, and I've been listening to the album on repeat since I heard it. It's like a weekly listen for me to at least listen to the album in full. So that's my top 10 albums. Again, I know I'm not the kind of person that can perfectly win you over and describe these albums amazingly well, but it's just stuff that I enjoy. I don't like to try and be, I don't want to be one of those guys that's fucking opening up a online thesaurus and finding the best way to word things, because it's just not who I am. I'd rather just say, I like this album! That's my favourite albums of 2018. Have you heard all of them? Have you heard none of them? Listen to some of them in the comments, tell me what you think of them. And that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.